Hey friends, it's Tracy. Welcome to today's video. I absolutely love sharing seasonal crafts with you, and Valentine's Day is one of my favorites. Guys, I love to do crafts for Valentine's Day as well as other holidays, but Valentine's Day is just something in my heart. It always has been, and so I usually do quite a few crafts for Valentine's Day. And so in this collection video, I will share those with you. Now, I do jam pack quite a bit into my videos, so I will have the timestamps listed in the description box below, as well as some other pertinent information. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. These are the supplies I'm using for this cute project. This wooden house from the Dollar Tree, this love banner, which is some stickers that I got from a sweet friend, this pink and white buffalo check scrapbook paper, of course, from Hobby Lobby. So the first thing I did is to get the back off of the house, and I used my serrated knife and my Cricut spatula just to help myself get the back from the frame of the house. I wanted a certain section of the scrapbook paper, so I traced it out on the front just with a pencil and then cut that out. To attach the paper to the back of the house, I'm just using my Elmer's glue stick. And one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning, I am using this rickrack that I got from Hobby Lobby a few years ago. Unfortunately, I could not find it on the website for it to be available, but it is so cute. And what I did is I just used my Fabri-Tac glue just to glue it around the inside of the house. The reason I use my Fabri-Tac is because instead of hot glue is because I could, move it around a bit until I got the correct placement. Then what I did is to attach the banner, I want to put a string of jute around, and I'm just taping it right now because once I hot glue the back onto the frame of the house, I'm going to cut that string off. Then what I did is I took the banner off of those little stickers. A sweet friend and follower sent these to me, and I love them so much, and I was like, I'm going to use those for Valentine's Day. Anyway, so they are like already attached together just with some silver wire, so I just kind of find the placement that I want and just kind of put them there. Then to kind of finish off the edges, I just made just a 2-loop bow out of the same jute. This thin jute came from Dollar Tree, and just made some bows and hot glued them on the ends of the cute little banner. Then I just attached the back of my house to the frame just with some hot glue. Now I'm going to make a bow for the bottom of my house, and I have this mesh snowball ribbon that I got at the Dollar Tree. I've already used it on a different project, so I'm just cutting off 6-inch strips, and so then I just gather those together, not doing anything special, just kind of bending over the edges and then gathering it. I crisscross them so that they would be kind of crisscross where they're not just laying on top of each other. And later on in the video, this is a little big, so I cut it down a bit, like on the side, so that it looked nicer laying in my house at the bottom of my finished house. I just used a white pipe cleaner just to tie it off in the center. I get a better hold with the pipe cleaner, so that's why I use that for my bows like this. Okay, to have something kind of like styrofoam kind of thing, I love to use this fine Excelsior that I get from Joann's Craft Store, and I hot glue some of that at the bottom. And then I'm going to be using some of these beautiful flowers that I found at Walmart. They're mini ranunculus flowers, so I just take my wire cutters and just cut off a couple of stems of those, and then I'm going to stick those into the Excelsior. And the Excelsior kind of is like my styrofoam kind of thing. And so I just stick those in both sides. Now, one of the stems that I had clipped off had an extra of the greenery, so I just clipped that off and then put it on the other side that only had one greenery, so everything worked out great. And then I'm going to cut down my bow, and then I'm going to stick that, hot glue that into the center there at the bottom as well. I'm just using my pinking shears. I find that it just kind of helps with just giving a little jagged edge, and I don't have to worry about, you know, the ribbon being uneven. So then now I'm just taking one of these open heart stickers that is from, you know, off of this sheet from the Dollar Tree, of course, and just sticking that there at the top. Then I have, I wanted some more rickrack around the house. Now, honestly, when I first started this project, I had a different vision in mind, and that's why I put the red and white polka dot ribbon inside of the frame. If I would have to do it over again, I would put the red and white polka dot rickrack on the outside, but I didn't have enough and I wanted to save it for another project since I already had it glued on this. So, you know, you can never have too much rickrack in my world. So I just glued some hot pink rickrack on the outside of the house. So then now I just trimmed off those jute, those ends, like I had said that I had taped, and you know, it's held now because of the glue. And then I just take one of these sticks that are also out of a pack from the Dollar Tree, just took it off the stick and then just glued it right there in the middle of that heart. And this project turned out so cute. I love it so much. As I mentioned, I had a total different vision in my head, but I love the way that this turned out, and I hope you do too. To finish it off, I just cut little pieces of baby's breath. That stem came from Walmart, and just put 4 pieces in there, just hot glued them in there, just sticking them in the Excelsior. I wanted to add some pearls to the rickrack just to give it a more softer touch. I had these pearls. They're kind of faux pearls. They're flat on one side. They're beads, and I just cut them apart and just hot glue them there on the rickrack just to give it a softer touch.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that
the wood truck that I'm using is from Dollar General. It also comes with a stand. The paint I'm using is this Americana Buttermilk paint. I'm going to give it 2 coats of that. It's an acrylic paint. I'm just going to paint the truck and the hearts. I wanted this to look like an old rusty truck. That's kind of what I'm going for. And then I will use some black acrylic paint to paint the tires. This milk chocolate paint is my favorite shading color. It is an Americana acrylic paint. I'm just taking a 1/2-inch flat paintbrush and some clean water. I promise that is clean water in there. I just had it, you know, it does look like brown paint in there from other projects, but it was dry. And what I do is I dip half of my brush in paint, the other half in clean water. I blend on a paper towel, and those blue towels are shop towels that you can get in the automotive section at like Walmart or any store like that. And so what I do is I just go around the truck just in different areas where the little slits are, and I just do that to enhance it. And again, I'm just trying to make this an old rusty truck for Mr. Bud. for the white walls of the tires, I just used some white paint and just painted around that the best I could. Then to enhance it a bit more, I'm using this metallics silver. It's shimmering silver is the color of it, and I just got it over at Hobby Lobby. And then I just take my brush and I went around the white walls of the tires. Now I am just going around like the bumper and the headlights and around the handle, just something to make this pop. And then I'm taking that my favorite little liner brush. As I've mentioned before, this brush has been with me for many years. It is very loved. The handle is broken, some of the bristles are missing, and it's perfect for little projects like this. Okay, so then now I'm going to start writing buds, roses, and then I'm going to write this. I'm using a fine Sharpie marker, and then with my ultra fine Sharpie marker, I'm going to write cut fresh, free, fast delivery. And I just was thinking about what I wanted to write on this truck, and so I guess the Lord spoke to me in a dream or gave me the impression, because I woke up yesterday morning when I was doing this project and I went, oh, that's what I'm gonna say, buds, roses, cut fresh, fast delivery. So that's what I'm doing. And honestly, this truck is a little bit smaller than the previous years with Dollar General. So it was a little harder for me to write clearly in hand letter and get my happy dots on there. But I did. I made it work. I'm not, very happy with it, but it's all, the beauty is in the details, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And my stuff is not. And I'm just so glad that you're here watching, because I greatly appreciate you. Once I finish doing that, I'm going to take the my fine Sharpie marker, then go around and just add some black highlight. It's kind of like gives things a border. It just makes it pop. It's my style. It's what I do. And I'm so grateful that so many friends like this style of painting and style of country crafts. Once I finish with my white highlights, I will add some splattering, and I just use a stencil brush and a stick and just add some splattering to my truck. I do cover my area because it does get a bit messy. Then I am just going, I'm taking that little brush and some white paint, just going in the letters, the buds, roses, and just putting a little comma in the dots. I know you can't see it too good on camera, but it just kind of makes those letters pop. Once everything was dry, I'm using my favorite gloss varnish. I like to give my painted projects this gloss varnish. It just is my style. It's what I do. A link for the varnish of what I use is in the description box. Okay, then now I have some fine Excelsior that I just put on kind of like at the bottom. These beautiful felt flowers are also from Dollar General, and they're in, those beautiful colors. And then I'm just arranging them here, just trying to figure out how I want to glue them. And even though they have like a sticky, like little fun foam, sticky white sticker on them, I still hot glue them just to make sure that they stay on there. And then I'm just trying to figure out where do I want to put this one, and so I figured out I'm going to put it right there on the top, and then I'm going to go back in and put some of that Excelsior, which kind of adds like Spanish moss. I like to use this It's a bit whimsy. It's a bit country. I love it so much. And then I'll just give it a little haircut just to cut off all the wiry pieces just to make sure that it looks all nice and cute. For the stand, I did the same thing I did with the truck. I just gave it 2 coats of that buttermilk acrylic paint, and then I shaded it with the brown in milk chocolate. Then now I am just taking my ultrafine Sharpie marker and just going around and adding some doodling just to make it pop and make it all country cute. Here is my version of the faux books from the Dollar Tree. Now, I was really excited when the Dollar Tree came out with these cute faux books. They have different sayings on them, but I wanted to take it and make it a little bit more my style. So I'm going to be repainting them with these colors of paint, and I kind of followed the same color pattern with the red and the darker pink and then the lighter pink, and so I gave those probably 3 coats of paint just because I don't know, I just felt like 2 coats wasn't enough, so I ended up giving it 3 coats of this acrylic paint.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? I can't help but
For the middle lines, I just took my number 2 liner brush and just went through with some white acrylic paint just to give it the pages part. Then I am a sloppy painter. I know that y'all may be surprised by that, or some may be surprised by that, but I am. And it's just all in the beauty is in the details and how you kind of cover up your mistakes and that kind of thing. And so if I got a little bit of white on some of the color, I just went back and just touched it up with that color of paint, and we were all good. I'm going to add some white shading to this entire book collection. I just feel that it brings it out and gives it some dimension. So I'm just using a 1/4 inch flat paintbrush and just white acrylic paint. I have some clean water, and that paper towel is shop towels that I like to get from Walmart or any store that has like an automotive section. Those are usually in there, and I just like to use those because they're just a little bit thicker than regular paper towels. Anyway, so I'm just going along, dipping half of my brush in paint, the other half in clean water. I blend on a paper towel, and then I'm just going along the books and just kind of bringing it out and give it some dimension and character.
Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up, and we just sing along, and I can't help but feel it.
I'm going to be doing some hand lettering with this white Posca paint pen. This is the large size, and I just hand letter be my, and I do my little happy dots on there. It's what I like to do. It's just kind of my heart and soul. And then on the second book, I will hand letter Valentine. Then once that's completely dry, then I go back with my ultrafine Sharpie marker and just do a little shading on the letters.
I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? watch you as you sleep. You don't know I'm looking. With you everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever?
Since this is a paint marker, it does tend to smear with a gloss varnish, like a liquid varnish. So I found this Americana spray sealer over at Michael's, and that is what I use on my painted projects anytime I use the Posca paint pens. To decorate my books, I'm using this ribbon from Walmart. It was in the Christmas section during the season. And also I'm going to be using some of this lamb's ear that is also from the Walmart craft section. So I'm just gonna, I was going to like make a bow, but this ribbon is not very flimsy. It's kind of a little stiff, and so I'm like, that ain't gonna work. So I'm just trying to figure out here how to connect my ribbon so that I can gather it in the middle, so that I can then, put all of my other fun embellishments. And so I just put a little dot of hot glue there just to hold it down so that I can cut it. And then I'm just going to gather it in the middle, and then I will stick my lambs there underneath there, and then I'm going to show you how I made the loops to make the bow.
Forever, forever, forever.
And once I gather it in the middle, I'm just using a pipe cleaner just to secure everything. Okay, so for my loops, like I said earlier, this ribbon is a little stiff to make a bow. So I just have two 12-inch pieces of that same ribbon, and I just kind of gather them like that. And it is a little stiff, so I kind of had to work with it a bit. I just gather it and then kind of twist that tail, because there is a right and wrong side to this ribbon. So I tried my best to just gather it and just flip those tails so that the right side would be on the top. And then once I get to this point, then I will just gather everything. I just, secure it with a pipe cleaner. I get my best hole with a pipe cleaner. Every crafter has their own, materials that helps them with working with different things. But pipe cleaners are just something that I like to work with, and it just really helps me get a tight hold. And then I just, put my bow loops on there where it looks like, everything is tied together.
Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving
These beautiful felt flowers are from the Dollar Tree, and I pulled out one of the pink ones and kind of spread it apart so it would perk up. And then now I just take some hot glue and just glue that there right in the center. And I think this is so cute. I just love that the Dollar Tree had these faux books, and I hope that they do them for other seasons too, so that we can recreate them to our style. Anyway, so then I just have some heart stickers, also from the Dollar Tree. I'm just kind of, putting those on there, spacing them out so that they would look nice. And what I discovered is if I put it down, don't try to pull it back up, because it's going to pull up the paint. So I had to leave that one there, and we're good. And then I took one pink sticker and just put it there up in the corner. And I think that this little project is just so cute. I also took some of those kind of faux pearls. They're, flat on one side, and cut 3 of those. And then I just stuck those in the middle of the pink felt hearts.
Forever, forever. I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would?
For this Valentine sign, I'm using one of these hanging signs from the Dollar Tree. I'm just using the back. The paper is from this pack, which is Barnyard Pretty 2. The little white heart with the galvanized tin is also from Hobby Lobby. So I wanted to make sure that I get my stripes lined up. So I'm tracing it out on the front with my pencil. I'll cut that out inside, so that way when I adhere it to my board, I have the exact paper, size that I want. And so I'm going to be using the heat transfer method with Mod Podge. Now, this is something that I have been doing recently, and I don't think that I will go back to using the wet Mod Podge anytime soon. And so how I do that is just put a layer of Mod Podge on my board and then dry that completely with my heat tool, or let it dry, on its own. Then I'll use my Cricut Easy Mini Press just to heat up the Mod Podge and stick my paper on. Now I'm using what I have on hand, but I've seen a lot of creators use mini irons that they get off of Amazon. I'm also using a piece of parchment paper just to, kind of protect my surface. And I do pay special attention to the sides just to make sure that everything is nice and secured down. And I love this method. I'm not quite sure if I'll be going back to the wet Mod Podge method. Okay, now I'm going to do some hand lettering. And if you have been following me for any length of time, you know that I love to hand letter. It is some God-given talent. I do owe everything that I have, this platform, everything to the Lord, because He has given me these gifts and talents that I can share with you, and I am so glad that you are here. Now what I'm using is for my sign is I'm using the bottom of a gift box, and I like using crafting with these gift boxes because when I tear them, it gives me that different two-tone color of the cardboard or whatever, and I love that. I distress it, and I like incorporating it into my crafting. So to do some hand lettering, what I'm doing is, first of all, I had written one little sign out, but it was too small, so I decided to go ahead and measure. So that's what you saw me do. Now I'm just I like my happy dots, and so I'm just using a black Sharpie marker just to do my hand lettering. Then to get the torn edges, what I'm doing is I am just tearing the part of the gift box toward my body so that it will expose part of the cardboard that I like. Then I am taking my distress ink. This is in the color Vintage Photo. I'm just taking a finger dauber, which has a small sponge on the end, and just going around my projects. And what you'll see in this video, if I do any distressing, any of that brown color, I will be using this antique Vintage Photo, and I get that at the craft store in the scrapbooking section, or you can find it on Amazon. To bring out my letters a little more, I'm just using a white paint pen just to make a swoosh in each of the happy dots. Like I said, I feel that it just really, the beauty is in the details. That's one of the things that you've heard me say, or that you will hear me say. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. I also like to enhance my projects with black Sharpie marker. It kind of gives a border or outline, so you will see me in the process of this video using that on my projects. One of my signatures for my pieces is a splatter paint. I love it so much. I just love the look of it. And so how I achieve that is by using a stiff brush and a stick. And I just dip my brush in black paint, and I just run the stick over the bristles toward my body so that it projects the paint onto my project. And as you can see, I just cover my area so that I don't get paint all over my table. I use black paint, then I'll go back over and use white. Okay, I'm going to make a bow, kind of a little messy bow for my project, and I just pulled out a lot of different trims and ribbons and just different pom-pom ribbons. Now, a lot of these ribbons either came from Walmart or Hobby Lobby. I think that's where these two are. I think maybe I pulled some Rick Rack as well. And so what I did is I just am crossing them, so that they lay nicely. Now, I get more tightness with a pipe cleaner. So since this is majority white ribbon, I am just using a white pipe cleaner just to make, just to secure everything together and twist it nice and tight and make my little bow pop. For the hanger, I am using this sisal twine, and clearly I have that upside down, but that's what it is, just sisal twine, and I got that from Hobby Lobby, and I just thread it through the sign. I just poke the holes just with my little paper piercer just to get it, my little hole ready so that I could thread my sisal twine through there. And then I just made a knot, in the front so that it would hold. So to add some dimension for my sign and my heart, I'm just using some tumbling tower blocks that I get from the Dollar Tree and just putting several of those underneath, my sign and my heart so that it gives me some dimension. And then I'm just adhering everything down with some hot glue. To attach my bow, I took my little hole puncher that I got. Now, I found this over in the jewelry section at Hobby Lobby, and I just needed something small so that I could punch a hole in that heart, and then I just used the pipe cleaner just to thread it through, and just some hot glue just to make sure that it stayed in place. Then I'll just use my scissors just to trim off, any of the edges, just to make sure that they're all even and looks nice. Then I'll take some pink and white gingham fabric, just tearing off maybe about 1/2 inch. I like the ragged edges, and just making 2 small bows at the top where the sisal twine meets the sign. And I love the way that this turned out. Sometimes I have a vision in my head, and then I just start crafting, and it just turns out better than what I liked it to, and I hope you do too. So for my Valentine gnome, I'm using 2 of these leftover pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. I just took off the sticker by using my heat tool, removing those, and then I also removed the sticks. I'm going to need to glue those together, and so I just use my hot glue just to glue those, and then to secure it, I'm just using a craft stick. I give it a coat of the Waverly chalk paint, only because it just makes me feel better. You're not really going to see it, but it just made me feel better because my fur and everything, my beard and everything kind of covered it up. What I'm using is one of these socks from the Dollar Tree, as well as a 25 mm wooden half split ball. And to add some cheeks, I'm just using my coral paint and a brush, and just brushing on some cheeks. Honestly, I didn't even really need to do this because you really didn't see it. So, it just made me feel better just knowing that it was there. And then I also added some of that same coral color of paint to the ball of my nose. It was a little too peachy, so I went back later and added some more of the plaster paint. This unicorn fur is from Hobby Lobby. Now, when I was walking through and saw this unicorn fur, I didn't see the title unicorn. All I saw was, oh my goodness, that looks like the conversation hearts, that we know and love during the Valentine season. And so I'm like, that'll be perfect for my gnome. And so what I'm doing is I'm just using my box blade just to cut through the felt part of the beard, that's going to be my beard, because I don't want it to be too choppy. So that, just by cutting through the felt, that gives me the section that I need so that I can put my fur on there. And before I glue that down, I want to put my hat on, or my sock, and I want to give it a little form. So I'm just using a hair roller from the Dollar Tree. It kind of, I can kind of position it where it inside the sock so that it doesn't flop over. And it took a little finagling, but I got it to work and just glued everything down. Now, before I glue my sock down, I want to make sure and put my nose on. And so I'm just trying to find the placement of the nose, because I'm going to need to cut out a notch for his nose so it can go up underneath there. And then I cut out that notch using my box blade as well. And by using my box blade, I have found that, it doesn't make my fur choppy or look cut, and everything looks nice and wispy. Also, for the top of my hat, I did put some stuffing in there just to give it some form. And then with the addition of that little hair roller, it just makes my gnome hat look the way that I like. And then I just cut off the section, of the bottom of my beard so that everything is, looks nice and it looks wispy. And so I glue everything down and just make sure that everything looks really nice and that we are good with this little sweet Valentine gnome. To add a bit more stability where my gnome stood up, I'm just using some tumbling tower blocks. I'm just gluing those together. I glued 4 together at the bottom, and then I put 2 more at the top, and then I'm going to glue that to the back of the gnome just to add more stability so that he doesn't tump over on an unlevel surface. And I needed to cut off a portion of my stick in order to get my little blocks to stand on there. And then now I'm going to make the tag. I'm using one of these chalkboard tags from the Dollar Tree. And first I was going to make it pink. And so I'm just using my pink chalk paint. I think it's Ballet Slipper. And but once I gave that 2 coats, it wasn't quite the look that I was going for. It was too much pink. So I went back into my chalk paint and pulled out Lagoon, which is a chalk paint as well, and that gave me the color that I want, and also gave me the colors that match this gnome really nicely. I'm also going to use my paint markers just to give it a border, and also hand letter Be Mine. Now once that's dry, then I'll use some pink paint and just put like a highlight in each of the small dots just to bring it out. I also use the end of a paintbrush to dip in that pink paint just to give it some polka dots, and then also my ultrafine black Sharpie marker just to go around and add some shadowing to my letters. I'm just doing some splattering with white paint, and then I will go back and add just a border with my ultrafine Sharpie marker just to bring everything out and make my little sign look the way that I want and make it pop. I think that this is going to be the perfect little sign for my Valentine gnome. Now, to get my make my sign, I have some of these barbecue sticks, little wood sticks that I've had in my stash. I think I got these at the grocery store a long time ago. I just painted it pink, that bubblegum pink, and then that is what I'm going to use to build my sign. I want it to kind of offset just a tad. I'm going to use just some heart stickers that I got from the Dollar Tree and just make this sign and make it look really cute. What I did is to attach the sign, I just glued it in between, covering up the bottom of the stick with the fur so that you couldn't see that, and where it looks offset just a tad. I just added a couple of more hearts to the top of his hat, and this little gnome is complete. I am so glad that I ran across the unicorn fur over at Hobby Lobby. Y'all know that that's my favorite store, and they're continuing to come out with more and more stuff. All right, next I'm going to share my mini rolling pins. Now these are perfect for shelf sitters or small 3-tier trays. The mini rolling pins I found at Hobby Lobby in the unfinished wood section. I didn't put any color or anything on them, meaning paint or stain or anything. I'm going to leave them natural just like that. And the scrapbook paper is from Hobby Lobby as well. What I did is I just measured what I needed, and I just cut off that size of paper. I think it was like a little less than 4 inches. I just cut all of my paper together with my paper trimmer, and then I'm just going to hand letter just different sayings for Valentine's Day, and then that's it. All I did is just glue this paper on with some hot glue. For a decorative edge, I am just tying on some gingham ribbon or just using some jute, just wrapping it around and making some simple bows. And I just love the way that these turned out. They're perfect for shelf sitters or small 3-tier trays. Next project is this XOXO sign. And so what I'm using are these grapevine hearts from the Dollar Tree. This tag is also from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to cut off a portion of it. The scrapbook paper is from Hobby Lobby. I'm also going to be using part of this gift box. Going to be tearing off some of that. Now these hearts are also from the Dollar Tree, and I'll be using some of those pink to enhance my X's. And so I'm just taking my ruler here and just cutting off the top part, just using my box blade, scoring it several times so that I can pop off that top of that sign. I'm going to be using the Mod Podge heat transfer method the same way I did with the first project. Just put Mod Podge on my sign, let that dry, and then I'm going to be attaching my cardboard and my paper the same way. So while my sign is drying, I'm just going to cut off a portion of the cardboard because my wood grain paper is not wide enough, so I needed, and my sign was longer or wider, so I decided to take some of this cardboard that is from a gift box, tear that off just to give that ragged edge where it looks very rustic, and then that is going to give me the width that I need for my sign. I did the same thing with my paper, just tear off the edges just to give it a jagged edge and distress it with my vintage photo distressing ink, and that just gives me the rustic look that I like. Okay, so then I'm going to share how I put my paper on. Since the Mod Podge is dry, I'm just make sure it's all lined up, and then I'm going to use my Cricut mini press. That is my iron that I'm using, and I'm just gonna adhere it in the middle so that I have it straight and even, and then I'm going to attach my cardboard underneath the sign so that everything is nice and even. This XOXO sign is inspired by my sweet friend Summer from Hammond's Nest. She made one and I loved it so much I had to put my spin on it and make me one too. A link to her inspiration video will be in the description box below as well. So then now I'm just continuing to, in sections, just adhere my cardboard and my paper on, just using my easy mini press just to attach everything and heat it up and make sure that everything is nice and put down. Now I just used some of that polka dotted paper, just cut off strips of that, maybe about an inch, and so I'm just lining that up here, but I get off center just a tad, but it's okay, it really is fine. So I just cut down the lengths that I want, and then I just adhere everything down just with some hot glue, and then I'm going to use some of those pink glittery stickers from the Dollar Tree just to put in the middle of the X's, just to bring them out just a tad. And I also use my ultrafine Sharpie marker just to add some doodling to my X's, and just put my little country touch on it. To give some dimension, I'm using some of these foam squares in the middle of my X's just to give them some dimension, and I find those in the scrapbooking section of the craft store. I also add some black splattering to the entire project. Then I'll go back and add some white splattering, focusing on those grapevine hearts because I wanted to add some splattering to those grapevine hearts. And it's sad that the camera just doesn't pick up the splattering quite as well as it does in person, but I love this so much. I'm starting out with one of the love letter blocks from the Dollar Tree, as well as some antique wax from Waverly. I picked that up at Walmart. I just brushed it on because the letters were curved and I had to get into those little grooves. And then I just took a baby wipe and just wiped off the excess. This project is inspired by Pinterest, and I will have my pin inspiration linked in the description box below. Okay, this frame is also what I'm using. It's from the Dollar Tree as well. I'm just going to be dry brushing on some white Waverly chalk paint, and that also comes from Walmart. And I just, like I said, just kind of brushed that on. This frame, it had like a wood grain look, but it actually is plastic, so it didn't take too much paint, and I just kind of wiped it off. It was a little slick, but it was okay because it gave me the look that I was going for. For the inside or background of my frame, I'm using this polka dotted red and white paper that I picked up from Hobby Lobby. I just traced that out, and to attach it, I'm just using my Elmer's glue stick on the back of the cardboard, like the insert of the picture frame, and that is what I'm attaching my paper onto. For my middle heart, I'm just using one of these off of a garland from Dollar Tree. And the paper, it says love all over it. I thought it was perfect, and inspired, of course, by the pin that I pinned on Pinterest. That paper, it was in my stash, so I'm not quite sure where I got it from. I apologize that I can't tell you because I've had it so long. Anyway, I took my sanding sponge and I tried to sand all of the glitter off, but it was just way too much. So I just decided to flip it over on the back and just use the back. And so I trace that out, and what I'm going to attach it to, I'm using the Mod Podge heat transfer method. If you're not familiar with it, you put Mod Podge on your surface and then dry that well. I used my heat tool, or you can use a hair dryer, dry that, and then put the paper on it, and I used some parchment paper, and then I used a mini iron. My mini iron is my Cricut mini heat press, or you could use a real iron, like a regular sized iron, or they sell little mini irons at Walmart. I've heard they sell them on Amazon as well as Joann's craft store. Then I just took my brown ink pad and just went around the edges just to give it some distressing or some shading. Then I took my ultrafine Sharpie marker and just went around just to give it some doodling. I just did a squiggly line and two lines the other way, a little squiggly line, two little lines. I like that look, and like to add it to my country projects. Then to enhance the love letters a bit more, I have a very old, very loved brush that has lost some of the bristles, and I use it for extra thin lines. And I get asked about this small brush all of the time. It's just something that I've had for a long time. As I said, it's lost a lot of the bristles, and so therefore I just have just a couple of bristles to work with, and it just works great when I have just small spaces to add some doodling. A country project would not be complete without some splattering, so I take my white paint and my stiff stencil brush and just add some splattering on my love letters just to complete it for my country Valentine. I will put the backing back into the frame, and then I will glue on the letters first, just making sure that I get the placement that I want. I just attach that with hot glue, and then I will glue on my heart. I had one of these 3-inch rusty hearts on hand in my craft stash and decided to use it for the middle of the heart. I just kind of bent up the edges a bit and just hot glued it in the center so that it kind of, was up on the sides a bit. Then now I'm going to make a messy bow, junk bow, refab bow, whatever you want to call it. And I just have just different trims and laces and ribbons, and also some red and white pip berries that I got off of a garland from Hobby Lobby. I've just put all of this together, just crisscrossing the trims and ribbons just to make a bow. I'm going to secure it all with a pipe cleaner. I get a better hold that way. I just twisted everything together, and then I'm going to glue it in the middle of, the top middle of my frame, and this project is going to be complete.
Smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment.
Video. For this project, I'm using one of these jars from the Dollar Tree, as well as some of this black and white buffalo check paper from Hobby Lobby. Now, to get started, I took a strip of this polka dotted red and white fabric and just cut off a strip, ripped it so that I would have the ragged edges, and then just tied it around the neck of the jar and tied it into a bow, and then I will just trim it off with my pinking shears. I just measured the paper wide enough so that it would fit in the jar, and then I didn't worry about trimming it off because I just rolled it up and then just kind of let it go in the jar, and it just kind of looks, it just kind of curled on itself, and I didn't have to worry about cutting it exactly, and so that worked perfectly. Then next, I'm just going to insert some Excelsior. I like the fine Excelsior that I find at Joann's craft store, and insert that. It gives me the wispy look that I'm going for. I love that. Now, these flowers are beautiful mini ranunculus from Walmart. I also have some baby's breath that I also picked up at Walmart, and I'm going to cut off a couple of these stems and put them into the jar. I'm not going to glue them, only because if I want to reuse this for another season or for another craft, then I don't have to take it apart. It just works perfect. And that fine Excelsior is what holds it into the jar. For the Be Mine sign, I'm using one of these chalkboards that I got also from Dollar Tree and a white paint marker. This is a 1M Posca pen that I got off of Amazon, and I just write Be Mine. I'm leaving a small space on the right side because I want to put a heart sticker on there just to add that extra Valentine touch. Now, also, I'm going to add some of these mini picks that I picked up also from Dollar Tree. They're gold, pink, and red. I put a couple of those in the jar, and this little project is complete. Let me tell you, I love this so much. I love decorating with these little jars. They're perfect for tier trays or just small shelf sitters.
I'm looking, and I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up.
Calling all my truck loving friends, this truck is turned out so cute, and let me show you how I did it. This wooden truck is from Dollar General, and it comes with this little stand that you can put on to display the truck. To paint the truck, I am using just some black acrylic paint. I gave it 2 coats of the black paint. Now, initially, I did not paint the hearts, but once I started working with my scrapbook paper, I figured out I wanted to add that, and so I go back and I paint the truck and the hearts all black because that's going to be my base coat. And then I'm going to be doing some shading on my truck just to give it some white shading. And then for the hearts, what I did is I just took one of the for a template, I just went through my stash and pulled out a heart that was kind of the right size, and then I just picked out different coordinating red and black scrapbook paper. Everything came from Hobby Lobby, of course, my favorite store, and I just took my time and I just kind of traced out the heart patterns. And so that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the heat transfer Mod Podge method like I did earlier and that you've seen me do before. I love attaching scrapbook paper to my bases this way, and I hope that you find it helpful as well.
I'm looking and I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along, and I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together?
To add some white shading to my truck, what I am using is a 1/4 inch flat paintbrush. I dip half of my brush in white acrylic paint and the other half in clean water, and then I blend on a paper towel, and then I go around the edges of my painted projects. This is how I shade my projects, and I just blend on a paper towel. I like to use these shop towels that you can get in the automotive section of any store. They're a little bit thicker, and I like them for my when I paint my projects and use in my craft room.
Together, if I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. 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 I watch you as you sleep.
I'll go back and add a bit more heavier shading and highlight to the fenders because I want them to be a bit more defined.
I'm looking, with you everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on.
On this truck, for the white walls of the tires, I am just going around the small cutout heart. There's a little bit of attachment to, that has a little bit more space for the heart. That kind of makes this look like the white wall of the tire and blends everything together. To adhere the hearts, I was going to use the heat transfer Mod Podge method, but it didn't work. I'm showing you, I did it, but they didn't stick, and I don't know for whatever reason. So it ended up later on in the video, I go back and I use my Fabri-Tac glue to adhere all of these hearts down onto the back of the truck. Now, like the hearts, I didn't trim off the part where, it kind of hung over because I thought, I'll get that off with my my little knife, my utility knife. And that didn't work either. That stuck down. I even tried my nail file to file it off. So it was no problem because I used some rickrack ribbon to hide it, and everything worked out just fine. What I'm showing here is I'm just going around the edges and just adding some shimmering silver metallic paint around the white walls of the tires and just to enhance the doorknob as well as the front and back bumpers and the headlights. for any paint that I got a little too thick or I covered up something, I'm taking my very thin, very loved Missing Some Bristles brush because it's very thin, and I go back and dip it into white paint so that I can clean up any of the, like if I got the silver a little bit too much on the white. And I left this in to share that, you know, when you paint, accidents are going to happen or things are going to happen, and you just kind of figure out how to fix those kind of mistakes as you go along. And like I like to encourage people who want to learn how to paint, it's just paint, just, you know, just do it. And I just love seeing all of your creations. God has given me these gifts and talents to share with you, and I am so grateful and blessed that so many friends are liking this style of painting and want to learn more to do it. And so I want to encourage you to do it. Okay, so just using that same brush, I'm just going around and just adding some details to the truck. The beauty is in the details. You will hear me say that. And so I do that just by adding just some lines. They're not straight, they're kind of cattywampus, and it just really just brings the truck to life. Now I'm going to add some splattering, and I really like this look. It's what I do. I protect my, table because it is a little messy. Here I'm showing you, I had put just some highlights in the red hearts as well as the black hearts. I just put some swooshes in there. Okay, this I have just a white paint pen, and on for the door, I didn't get this on film, but what I did is I just put some shading, just like a rectangle, just to give it where it looked like a sign for the door, and I'm just hand lettering Love Express.
I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help.
This is the spray varnish that I used for my truck. So just sharing this, and I got that at Michael's. Okay, then now I am just pulling out a few of the pink, red, and gold picks that I got from Dollar Tree. Just pulled them off. They came right off the stick. And there are some like heart cutouts in this truck that I did not want to use, so I'm just covering those holes up with these wooden hearts from the Dollar Tree. And then I will take a couple of red shimmery sparkly stickers and just put them on the hearts that are on the truck.
You don't know I'm looking. With you everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around.
This cute rickrack is from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to freeze frame screen so you can screenshot that if you want to see if it's still available. I've had it for many years, so I'm not quite sure if it is. But this red with the white polka dots is so cute. And so what I did is I just put, just using my Fabri-Tac glue, I just put it on the edge where the hearts meet the truck, and that mistake with the paper and all of that was kind of hidden behind this cute rickrack. You know me, I need to add a little bit more sparkle, so I have this red Stickles, which is glitter glue, and I find that at the craft store in the scrapbooking section. And so I'm just going around the heart on the hubcap, and then I'm just going to go around the Love Express sign just to give a bit of glitter and dimension and just make those areas pop. I decided not to have this truck put on a stand. I am going to make a sign out of this, probably for a wreath. And so I like to use these 10-inch circles that I pick up from Hobby Lobby. Also, this black and white buffalo check paper is from that paper pad. I am going to use the Mod Podge method, iron that on. And so I just put, a good coat of Mod Podge on this circle. I let that dry, or actually I used my heat tool to dry that. And then I'm going to, cut out the circle. And then I did put the Mod Podge, attach it, adhere it to the circle using the heat transfer method. I added some doodling around the circle with my fine Sharpie marker, and then I put 2 strips of that same red and white polka dotted rickrack, one at the top and one at the bottom, and then I'm going to put the truck in the middle.
I'm looking, and I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just...
I like to lift up my wooden projects for my signs, and I do it with different things. I usually like to use the tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree, but I had this very thick fun foam on hand. I think I got this, at Hobby Lobby a few years ago, but you can get fun foam at different places. I just cut different, different shapes just so that I could fit it underneath this little truck. And then I'm going to glue everything down in the middle of the sign.
Do you know I'm looking, and I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on, I put my feet up, and we just sing along, and I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment.
This next project is more of a bonus project more than a Valentine project. I had found some of the mini cutting boards at the Dollar Tree and I wanted to use it, so I decided to use it in this project. But like I said, it's not just for Valentine's. You could make little gifts out of them or make one for yourself. So I decided to make a small recipe card holder. Okay, so I have this checkered red and white and denim scrapbook paper, of course, from Hobby Lobby, and you can't get any more country than that. I tell you, I love all of this checkered and denim and all that good stuff. Gingham, it has my heart. Anyway, so what I did is I was going to take off the paper of that mini cutting board, but it wouldn't come off. So, I'm just making this for YouTube for video purposes. So, it just really didn't matter. I was going to do the iron on method for Mod Podge, but it didn't work. The paper didn't stick. I don't know if it's something that I'm doing or if it's just this surface that I'm trying to put it on. Anyway, but it works on other things, but it just didn't work on that. So I used my Elmer's glue stick to stick everything down, all the paper to this. And so then now what I did is I just ripped off a part of the denim paper, and I like that, ragged edge because I think that looks really country too. And so I'm just, cutting that around, and then I will attach that to the bottom of the mini cutting board just with some of that Elmer's glue stick. And then I'm going to put on some jute around the top. I failed to mention to get the hole in the top of the, the paper, I just used my 3/4 inch hole puncher. It is a little bit bigger than the hole, but because this is a rustic country project, it was okay with me. Now, other people may want it to be exact, but this was okay. It's a 3/4 inch hole punch. And so I just attach that paper there to the bottom. And then now I'm just going to start wrapping on my jute. And I just wrap it around several times at the top, kind of the neck of the top of the cutting board. For my clip at the top of my little mini recipe board, I have these burlap flowers that have a mini clothespin on them. Now, I got these maybe last year at Hobby Lobby, after the Easter season, but since that season's coming up, we're going to be finding these things, and they're just so stinking cute. And so what I did before I glued that clip on, what I did is I took my brown ink and I did some distressing around the cutting board. Then now I'm taking my fine Sharpie marker and just adding some black doodling, what I like to do for my projects. Okay, The reason I have my Cricut spatula there is because I wanted to stick that clothespin up underneath there, and I needed to lift up my jute, and that Cricut spatula worked great for that. Okay, so then I kind of, struggled with what to say. There's so many things you can say. So I just hand lettered baked with love. And then I'm going to be doing the torn around the edges of the paper. And this is just white cardstock. And so I just gave the jagged edge and just ripped it around. And like when I get to this point, I'm like, you need to make it a little bit smaller because it was kind of hard to handle. So I advise, making it a little bit smaller so you can handle it a little bit better if you like this kind of look. And so then I, just continue to rip the edges just to give that torn look. And then I take my brown ink, and then I'm like, I want it to be a little bit more rustic. So I just crinkle it up. I just bend it back and forth, and then I just take my brown ink and just go all over it, and that gives it that country distress look.
You as you dry. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling.
Hey friends, it's Tracy. Today I am sharing a Pretty in Pink and Aqua Valentine wreath. All right, I hope you enjoyed as much as I did making it. Okay, I'm using a 21-inch pink mesh, and I did the bubble technique. I will leave a link to a video that is step-by-step of how I make my bubbles and put them on the wire form. I'm also using this Together is Our Favorite Place to Be. I picked that sign up from the Dollar General. These are the 10-inch mesh that I used in this wreath. I cut them at 12 inches, and I did a combination. I'll get to that once I get to cutting them. And I just roll them out together on my mat. Now these, this one, pink, like the ombre effect, came from Hobby Lobby. This with the ribbing on the ends came from Craft Outlet. And I just roll those out together, and then I measured out 12 inches and cut those out. And I will do the blue and the other white the same way. And because this pink ombre mesh was a little small or a little thin, I ended up using the pink ombre mesh with the blue as well, because I really liked the end, the hot pink end that it gave when I rolled it up. So I'm just making cruffles. I'm just bending over the end and then rolling it 2 times. Then I clip it with the little pink clip. Then I switch it around, roll it 2 times, gathered in the middle to make a cruffle. And then those 2 right there are what I'm going to put together. And then I'll do the same thing with the blue and the other white, and then this ombre mesh as well. I cut all of these out at 12 inches, and I put all 3 of these together. So I have 12 ties on this pink wreath. And so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start one place and just start with these bundles. Now I have two sets of bundles. I have one that has 3 of the mesh and one that has 2. And so I just start, if I start in the inner ring, then I go, the next one I just go to the bottom ring. And then I'm going to go up the next, and then I'm going to go down. And then once I get all of these on, then I will put the other pink and white mesh on. I'll alternate them as well. So it's just kind of like a zigzag pattern. And that way that gives me the color combinations that I like. So then this is what the wreath looks with all of the mesh on there. Now this is 12 bundles of a mesh, alternating it with the 3 and then the 2. Okay, these are the ribbon choices that I'm using for this wreath. They either came from Hobby Lobby, Craft Outlet, Walmart. And so what I do, okay, like this first bundle, what I'm going to do is I have 3 ribbons and they're all cut at 13 inches. And so then I make a bundle like this. So I just crisscross them and then I put one in the middle. I take my little tiny attacher, my little stapler, and I love that thing. It just really helps streamline my process. I like to have my bundles ready to go so that when I'm ready to put them on my wreath, I can do it, just kind of grab and go. Okay, so the pink gingham with the red hearts came from Craft Outlet, and the other 2, I'm not quite sure where I got those, maybe Craft Outlet as well. Anyway, so I am just crisscrossing those and going to make those bundles. And I really do like just to make my bundles like this and my ribbon. I get asked a lot about how I pick my ribbon. I just kind of go off of the season and the sign and to just kind of pull coordinating colors. So here I have my 2 sets of bundles ready to go. And then this 1.5 inch ribbon, I got this at Walmart during the Christmas season. Love it so much. I bought a couple of rolls of this because I said, oh, I could use this for Valentine's Day and all kind of other seasons. Anyway, so what I did is I measured out 30 inches and that is what I'm going to make for a bow, just a simple bow. I'm just dovetailing the ends and then I'm going to make 2 loops using my little stapler to secure it in the middle, and then that is going to go in one of the bundles of ribbon. Here I'm showing how I gather it in the middle like this, and then I'm going to put that ribbon bow right there in the middle. And I originally was going to just have this one be, just the one ribbon bow, but I decided to pull out this pink gingham ribbon. Not quite sure where I got that from. I've had it for a little while, but Craft Outlet is a great place to get 50-yard rolls, and so probably I got it at Craft Outlet. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to dovetail the ends, and then, I measured out 30 inches, and that gives me a good size bow. My bow loops are probably about 4 inches, and so then I staple it in the middle, and then I'm just going to, gather it all together so that every tie has a bow. So like whatever set I was using, I decided to do one with the white with the red gingham on the edges, and then the other set had the pink gingham bow. So for this wreath, I have 12 bundles of the 10-inch Deco mesh, and then I have 12 bundles of the ribbon, just alternating the colors and the styles. Okay, for my sign, like I said, this sign came from Dollar General, and I thought it was really cute. Of course, what drew me, caught my eye was the gingham bow. Now I'm just enhancing it a bit with black Sharpie marker, just going around and just giving it a border and some doodling. I also added some highlight to the red part letters, just using my liner brush and my white paint. I also did some splattering like I like to do for my projects. I did black first and then I went over it with white. I made sure and covered up that gingham bow because I didn't want to get any paint on my my bow. Okay, so then now I'm just showing how I put the cable ties on the back of my sign so that I could attach it to my wreath. And this is my favorite way to attach signs to my wreaths right now. And so I just glue those on. The cable ties are sticky, but I reinforce it with some hot glue, E6000. You know, it just makes me feel better that they're there. And then I just added pipe cleaners, and that is what I'm going to attach to the frame. Okay, these glittery hearts I've had for a few years. I got those at Craft Outlet, and so then I'm just cutting those apart, and then I will be sticking those to enhance those in my wreath. And what I do is I just glued them, ensure that they were in between the flaps of my Deco mesh, and, you know, just made sure that they are in there really good and that they're not going to come out.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up, and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling just loving